Hello, welcome to January Street Studios. This is our Unit 1 project, and we're going to create 3 songs. Now there's a certain way we want to try to do this, and we're going to have this tutorial to show you exactly some steps that can help you along the way. First off, you're going to start with a completely blank screen. It will have your title, it will have section 1, section 2, the introduction, and the ending, but there will be no tracks on here. So let's import a drum track. Now we do this by going into 4.1, click on the 3 dots, then export, go to MIDI file after you choose one. When you click MIDI file, it will save to your Google Drive. Then you go to import file in your project folder, and then you'll choose which one you want to go into. Now in this one I chose the Motown. You can choose whichever one you want to. Just remember that each of the 3 songs must have a different drum beat. And you can press play to listen to it. You can adjust your tempo here. You can also check to see if there's anything that needs to be fixed on it. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my 4.2 lesson and get a drum fill. Same thing, 3 dots, export, and then MIDI file. And then I'm going to do it the same way. I'm going to import the file. I will select my file, in which case this is practice 2A. And then it's going to show up on a new track listing, and it's perfectly fine to leave it on this one by itself. I'll move it down to this blank spot here and measure 8. And if you notice that something is a little bit off, make sure you go in and you check on your edit notes. And there may be something that may not have copied over the right way, or you may see something where it was supposed to be at, but when you repeated it, it didn't line up just right. And make sure it's sounding the way it's supposed to sound. Once you get it fixed and you see that there's no blips or anything else wrong with it, of course you can go back and copy it again and just drag it down. Now you notice I didn't just do a full copy on this because we do have a drum fill in the 8th measure. Test it out, keep on going, then you can copy and paste. When you copy and paste, I prefer to click the play marker where the measure number is at the top, and that way you can line up exactly where you want this to paste into. Same thing for your drum fill. Copy it and then paste it. As you can see, we have our entire drum fill and drum beat lasting the entire song with our drum fills between each section. Now we need to add a bass line. There are different options for adding a bass line. Of course, we could add a bass line from the loops. We could add a bass line from playing it in. In this case, I chose a loop. Then when you can slide it over, or you can double click it into your file, it'll create a new track. And then I just extended mine the entire song all the way to the end. I also look to see that it's in F minor. It tells you the key. If it has a little M, then it means minor. And so when you're looking for a melody or something else, you can go over here to any scale. And when you click on any scale, you can click on the minor scale or major scale, depending on which key this one is in. Go through. Of course, you can type in melody in the search. Section 1 must have one melody. Section 2 must have a different melody. If you do get a MIDI file though, it's really smart to use this one because you can actually copy some of it and then change some notes up or change some rhythms yourself and use it for part of the ending or part of the introduction. Since you did not program that entire one though, it does not count as your self-made track. And as you're listening through it, make sure you adjust your levels on here. You want the melody to be well heard. Percussion and bass can be subtle in the background, but the melody needs to be heard most of all. Now to make your ending, you could take a chunk of your melody from the section 1, edit some notes, have some fun with it. And then the same thing for section 2, copy some of those over, put those in for the ending as well, change it in the piano roll. Or if you have a WAV file, you can cut and paste some of those. And then I also want to add something for the introduction and maybe something for the ending too. And this has to be something that I created, and in your case that you created all on your own. So you're going to add a new track, and I'm going to choose keys, and because it brings up my keyboard and I can change the sound on that later. I'm going to choose a few notes on here that could count as some good chords that go with, or some good notes that go with the melodies. And then I'll record that. Remember, if you don't record it perfectly the first time, you can always go back and re-record it later, or you will go and edit in the piano roll. Now mine did not line up perfectly, so I also used the quantize feature, which we did in a later lesson. And since I saw that there were 16th notes in this one, I quantized down to the 16th notes. Move it around, copy and paste it, and there's my track that I created myself. I also went back and changed the sound of that instrument to match the same as the melody. Go back and listen to it a few times, see what you need to add or change. Now, if you want to do a melody that's been pre-made, you can always use the melody options PDF. You can either play those into your tracks or you could program them into the piano roll. Same thing for the bass lines options. You can do the same for those, play them or program into the piano roll. You can also use a YouTube example where you have a tutorial. Just add a new track and click on keys. Then you'll choose which notes you're going to play or use the piano roll. And then when you're finished, you should have 4 sections: intro, section 1, section 2, and an ending with a drum beat the entire song, some drum fills going between each section, a bass line all the way through the entire song, a melody in section 1, a different melody in section 2, parts of both melodies or whatever you want to for the ending, and then a self-created track. And that's it. You'll do the same process for all 3 songs. Just be sure that you have the components from each one. Make sure you check for the rubric. And then be sure to get a peer review for each song from 2 different people. And that's all the project is. Have fun with this one. Let's see what you come up with.